Well, we can move over to feed. I just need to fix one person's username. And we should be about ready to get underway here in the Principality. Actually, Marius Anderson as well. What's up with his name? So, who is that McLaren? It is Satcher who needs to put telemetry on. Why is Marius Anderson's name not fixing? I'm not entirely sure, I can't lie. So, I'll just have to say the same for now. As well, let's see a lap from someone. We will watch player. Who is Satcher Spencer? But they're not even pushing. We love to see that. As the Sauber goes through. Of Norris. And that's on the intermediate tyre. So we might... Varkish is a little bit further up the road and actually on the soft tyre, pushing. So let's see that through Portier. And flat out now through the tunnel. Braking for the Nouvelle chicane. Don't clip the wall on the left-hand side. Try and cut as much as you can and get away with it. Into the back. Try not to brush the walls on the outside and then the swimming pool. Takes it nicely. And Raskas and Anthony knows to go. And charges for the line for the first lap of qualifying. And it's a 109.2. Trixie's actually come in. I think he was on the Inters. Going to be a bit stop-start for the moment until we get some actual soft tyre laps going on at the same time. Not quite sure if Stefan is on a lap or not. I think he's actually invalidated. That might be why that's a bit glitched. This is Ratcliffe, Connor Ratcliffe, on the way. On the soft compound tyres. Night Owl as well, and Ben also on laps. Ben up to the line. We'll keep watching Ratcliffe though, through to back. Ben goes second as Ratcliffe has backed off. Don't know if he was ever even pushing, to be honest. Van Bergen to the line, to P2. And Adam Dick to the line in a few moments' time as well. Ratcliffe will go again. And so will the Racing Bulls. What about Simon? Simon Wagner. Here. To the line. Goes into P4. Hello, Renz. And I will invite you, Alex. If I can find him on this list. Unless I wonder if he's changed his username. Adam Locke, meanwhile, into the swimming pool. And now up to the line. There's not a representative lap for the moment. As the Racing Bulls does get a lap on the board. And Adam Locke's going again, so we'll just keep watching. Well, through Portier and down through the tunnel. It's quite curved, and then you're downhill, braking. Only slightly though, but that wall on the left-hand side has been deadly. The last few days it's taken out McLaren's in both races so far. Booty cam slide, as well as Jeffy Boy. Division 2 and Division 3. Well, Division 3 and Division 2. The way I said the names the first way around. His Locke crosses the line and is in 7th place. And Rambo, his teammate, is on the way 9/10 down at the moment, on the leading pace. Slightly taps the barriers on the exit of the swimming pool. Into Raskas, slightly sliding on the exit. Straightens his up. And now runs to the line. 1.4 seconds off. Goes just 8 milliseconds ahead of Adam Locke. And now Alex hasn't got in because he is online now. There we go. He wasn't appearing before. He must have just been literally opening the game. So there we go. And this is Bradders on the move. As Saban as well, slightly quicker in the first sector compared to the Aston Martin of Bradders. Braking for the swimming pool. Whoa, hits the barriers there on the inside, and that breaks off the end plate. And that will be backing out of the lap, I'm sure, for Bradders. And Saban will be leading. Well, what we're seeing, 1.2 seconds down. Commitment, not really close to the wall on the inside though. You want to try and get as close as you can. And the swimming pool a little bit wide as well at Raskas. And Saban on the way. And it is up to P9. As then we got Speedy in the Mercedes, purple in the middle sector. And Sam Sin as well going the championship leader as Speedy crosses the line into P2. Quite a decent gap though to Varkish. And I'll try and find Sam Sin. And Sam Sin now to the line. And Sam Sin goes to the top of the timing charts in Q1. Night Owl meanwhile to the line. And it is P12 for Night Owl as Danny here pushing on. 1.2 seconds down on the medium compounder tyre. We saw Marley yesterday in the Alpine use the medium compound at times in qualifying. And Danny here doing the same for the same team. And how is this lap looking? Into P11 for the moment. As I'm still not sure why Anderson's name isn't being picked up. I don't think it's... Pretty sure it's correct on the spreadsheet here. Marius Anderson. Marius Anderson doesn't seem to be any kind of mistake, but it just doesn't seem to work. I can manually update it for each quali session. It's just a bit of a pain. Here is Anderson, 1.3 seconds down. Can someone ping Satcher, unless they've already have, and tell him to put the telemetry on. As there goes Anderson. It's out of the elimination zone, although not quite safe, as Ratcliffe puts a lap on the board. Yeah, the sponsor boards are basically this ego ERP thing. It's not like, it's not that difficult to do, but I have to replace some of the assets. Right, player comes in, that's Satchup, as this is, hang on, this is Alex Mills, but it's actually down as Leclerc, who then hits the barrier, I think, on the inside. This is a different Wagner to the other Wagner. This is Simon Wagner, and we have Sebastian Wagner in Division 2. And they both drive for Ferrari. A bit confusing, but yeah. I'll fix Mills' name by just doing that. It'll go to all Mercedes for a second, because they're Team ID 0. James, like, kind of, yeah, getting first choice of the team. I think that's just because they were winning the championship. Oh, that's hit of the barrier. They were winning the championship at the time they first made the F1 game on this engine, but Bradders damaging the wing. And down in P20, Trixie as well, without a lap time on the board at the moment. I want to see if I can, like, load a replay from, I think this was hits the barrier we saw before. Down there. Yep. And now, meanwhile, Ratcliffe through the same section of the Nouvelle Chicane. The slower chicane that was added, I believe, in the 1990s, might be 1980s, or around then. 1980s, probably, I think. Oh, gets a bit out of shape. Into Raskas, and Bales on the lap. Edward Isham was just going to switch to him, but he invalidates. And Trixie is not on a competitive lap. This, though, should be Trixie's push lap to try and make sure he can get through. Trixie was literally the admin who picked this circuit here in Monaco to be on the calendar. And, well, he needs to get out of the first part of qualifying, and so far that's a decent first sector benchmark. And now through the lowest hairpin, slowest corner on the Formula 1 calendar. And swinging the car through Portier. Flat out through the tunnel. And now picking a braking point for the Nouvelle Chicane. Avoiding the wall. Over the curb. Don't exceed track limits. Down to Tabac. Smoothly done. Lose a little bit more time compared to Samson, but this is good enough to get through to the next part of qualifying, which is what matters here in Monaco. You don't want to go all out in Q1 and throw it away and hit the barriers immediately. And smoothly done. And up to the line. It is up to P4, which should be more than safe enough. Probably got more pace in it though, you'd think, as Alex Norris in the Sauber. Down through Anthony Nogues, the last corner. And up to the line. Where will this place the Sauber? Into the top 5. Great lap from Alex Norris. As Marius Anderson is on the way through the tunnel. Don't get blinded by the sun. You can get a bit blinded there. As you go out and into the open. 9/10 down. Can he find any more time on his previous best in this final sector? He's about half a second up so far on his personal best. Oh, but hits the wall. Hits the wall at the final corner. And I think he's damaged his wing. And that could be Marius Anderson out of qualifying again in Q1. Very minor front wing damage. It's not big, but that is not ideal for Anderson, who got knocked out in Q1 last time out in the McLaren. And this time you see through Raskas. It looked okay. And then here we go. Bounces off the wall. And that was the lap over. As Edward Isham is down into the lowest hairpin. Bradders as well is on a lap. I think he might be ahead, so we'll see Bradders brushing the barriers through to back. And into the swimming pool, drifting the car slightly. As Edward Isham pushes on, not finding time so far. Connor Ratcliffe as well in the Sauber. He's going for it as the time is a bit bugged on Ratcliffe. Bradders gets out of the elimination zone, but only just. Edward Isham is pushing to try and stop that. A few other drivers also on laps, not necessarily finding time. Wagner, though, is. Simon Wagner in the Ferrari, could be at risk. Not that far clear, as Edward Isham goes up to 13th place. What about Ratcliffe? It's to 11th, as that's Danny starting a lap. What about Wagner in the Ferrari? 3/10 down so far. Looks like a decent lap if he can just keep this together. In the final sector, Saban and Anderson going again in their respective cars, looking to see if they can find a way through to Q2. This is Wagner, though, to the line. Wagner moves up into the top 8, ahead of his teammate, Alex Mills. This is Saban with 2 green sectors. Marius Anderson as well, getting to the end of Sector 2 in not too far. 1.2 seconds down, not finding time with that damage. Saban to the line. Saban into 9th position. We have Danny pushing on the soft compound tyres now. XR Rambo trying to lift himself out of danger in the Haas. Anderson to the line. Anderson improves but stays in last place without damage. Danny, meanwhile, rounding the final corner. Adam Locke pushing on in the Haas. Can Danny lift himself out of elimination? Yes, he can. It's ahead of Saban, as this is now XR Rambo crossing the line in the Haas. Rambo pushes Night Owl down into elimination zone. Night Owl is not going again. He's already retired from the session, so Night Owl is out of qualifying. This is Adam Locke. Adam Locke, 7/10 down on Samson. This looks like this could be good enough to get through to the next part of qualifying, as Bradders in the Aston Martin trying to go again as well. 9/10 off. So we'll see whether some more drivers could be at risk. Bradders invalidates his time as Adam Locke misses out by 1/100th of a second. And I think we are done for the first part of qualifying. Adam Locke barely misses out on the next part, and Ratcliffe survives in the Kick Sauber. Sauber with both cars through, Haas with 1 car, and then Racing Bulls, Aston Martin make it through 1 car. Williams with a double Q1 elimination here on the streets of Monte Carlo. Here we are, confirmation of the results. And yeah, have to see if anyone cut the chicane that we can actually see on the screen. That chicane, Nouvelle chicane, because Eagle will be checking. I'll see if I can fix Marius Anderson's name though. Meanwhile, I don't think I've entered anything in wrong, so I think I might just have to overwrite it. It seems to be. But yeah, good first part of qualifying. Hopefully we'll see drivers pushing to the limits more and more. in Q2, which is about to get underway. Yeah, we'll fix Anderson's name for the race, because I don't have to fix it for every session then. Well, here we are. And we might be seeing quite a few used tyre laps to start this session, based on last few days. To burn up quite a few sets of tyres here with the track evolution, and yeah, people normally use the used tyres, especially this part, second part, qualifying. And a huge amount of cars go out the pits. And the majority of them are on used tyres. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of them are. And first going to be the actual, it's going to be the Sauber actually, to the front of the queue, who, yeah, everyone left the pits at the same time, so the ordering has kind of not gone exactly the way they're on the track, but the Red Bull behind, seeming to be Varkish. Right up behind, seeing if he can get ahead. It's basically a one and done in Q1, which seemed confident. And was right, proved right. Obviously in Imola, had quite the eventful time in the Mercedes, having an incident with Trixie down the main straight down towards Tamburello, and then another few things also occurring. But here in Monaco, seems to be on it so far, but I mean, had a good qualifying in Imola, and we saw how things went. But to the front of the queue is Alex Norris, so let's see a lap with the Sauber down towards Sandevart. On the limiter grip there. You could see the rear end was threatening to lose itself. Through Casino, avoid the bump on the left hand side, braking now for Mirabeau. Down to the Lowe's hairpin by the Fairmont Hotel, over the pavements. And then Portier, a little bit slidey on the exit. What's Varkish doing behind? Varkish is, I want to say, a few tenths up. Yep, that was very much over the curbs for Norris. Gets away with it as Spencer goes purple. That was not the lap timer. I apologise. Adam's time will be on there eventually, but Spencer went purple in Sector 1. And actually, Norris is quicker than Varkish in Sector 2. Spencer quicker than the pair of them. Now, as there goes the Sauber over the line as Varkish comes in. And Spencer now rounding and completing the lap as Ben gets a lap time on the board. And it is P1 for the McLaren, who had pole in Spain. That's Varkish I'm trying to go on, who is already, he's not there. Now we can see the Racing Bulls of Adam Dick into the final couple of corners. Anthony knows, and now the charge to the line with the RS Open, and it's 3/10 quicker on new tyres, I believe. And Trixie popped up into second, and now it was P1 at the time. As Rambo goes up to fifth, we have Speedy and Van Bergen rounding the final few corners. Speedy's gone up into P4. I noticed they actually have the same three letters, which is a bit confusing. This is Van Bergen to the line. It's a tenth away. It's P2. That must be a new tyre run as well, as Wagner makes his way through the tunnel under the Fairmont Hotel and down to the Nouvelle Chicane. And now we ride on board through to back. Gotta trust the car's not going to slip away from you. Into the swimming pool over the curbs. Slightly wide there through Raskas. A little bit hesitant as well on the exit. Ratcliffe to put a lap time on the board. And Wagner into P6. There. Saban, I'm not quite sure. I don't know. Nobody had a quali ban, did they? And Saban must have had an accident out there, which I didn't see because this is so much going on. But Saban has retired from the session, so that I do know. And well, that is not ideal here in Monte Carlo. I mean, we have seen last few days people have made recoveries, but yeah, it's certainly not ideal. You need a bit of luck if you are to get through. That was a bit wide. And he's backed off. Barkish has backed off. Sam Sin going for a lap now. Just behind. And is 2/10 up. I bet there is a replay at the minute. Well, I mean, for there to be a replay, I have to press a few buttons. So if I've not pressed a few buttons, there is no replay. And if I wasn't watching what happened, there's not much point in there being a replay because we're not going to see anything new. And over the curbs and invalid goes Stefano Samson. I was going to change Speedy, his thing. I was going to change Speedy's kind of name to, yeah, just make it so we don't have too much of a clash. So Samson, I think, is going for another lap, back to back, after, or maybe this is a recharge one actually. Yeah, this is a recharge one because the invalidation was quite late on. Or maybe actually, yeah, he did. What lap time did he do? I can't actually. 109.1 he did on that invalid lap, so that was a full. He just kept pushing to see what he did, and then he'll go again, I guess. But anyway, no one is currently on a lap, but Ben here is just starting one down towards Sandoval, as we'll go on board, fling the car in right out to the barriers on the exit, and now you climb the hill through Beau Rivage, which is the little place on the left hand side. I believe it's a hotel or something called Beau Rivage, and now down into Mirabeau. And now the Lowe's hairpin flicking the car through to try and get as much rotation as he can. And then through the second Mirabeau, and also then Portier, as Alex Mills, the Season 6 champion, is into the final sector. A few tenths down on Sam Sin's time, which was invalid, but it's currently comparing it to. As Speedy as well in the Mercedes is on a lap, but this is Ben, we're still watching. And now through the swimming pool and towards Raskas, as Alex Mills has gone into P2. Meanwhile, Speedy on the pace with Trixie so far, as Trixie has done another lap while everyone else has been doing laps. Trixie to the top with a 109.0, and Speedy goes P2, just under a tenth and a half away, as this is Danny in the Alpine, who has had pole position before in Baku back in Season 6. Driving for Ferrari that day, that's when he won his one and only RFC race. One of 20 winners in Division 1 since Season 5 when the league restarted. I wonder if we will see a 21st different winner today, as Danny to the line, and it is P8 for Danny. Lost a bit of time in the final sector compared to his previous best, as Spencer in the chrome McLaren rounds through and towards the line. Where can this put Spencer? Will it be the quickest time? It is second quickest for Sacha Spencer, and just about half a tenth away from the pace set by the Red Bull of Trixie. Red Bull, who were in such good form at the end of last season, and well, looking to see if they can get back to there. See, McLaren have dominated the start of this season, winning all of the races and getting all of the pole positions. And Markish on the way through Anthony Noakes. Ratcliffe crossed the line. Wasn't a competitive time, I don't think, as Varkish goes into top 4. Close margins between the top 4 as the new tyre laps go on. And Norris through the second Mirabeau and into Portier. How is the lap looking for the Sauber of Alex Norris? It's an 18.4 first sector from the Sauber, compared to an 18.2, which is the best first sector we've seen from anyone, so it's quite there. But gets a big slide coming out of Tabak, but holds on to it. You've just got to wring the car's neck, especially the Sauber around these streets. Sauber have performed quite well so far, especially in Division 3, and certainly be more on the pace than other circuits, and Norris is showing that by getting into the top 10 as it stands. And well, we get down to under 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and that's Wagner on the outlap. Varkish and Sacha Spencer deciding their laps are good enough. Van Bergen on an outlap. Stefano Samson, meanwhile, you've not really spoken about it too much, but obviously had the laps before which he had the lap before which he invalidated, and now the pressure is on the championship leader to get a lap time on the board here in the Principality and get through into Q3. And it is a purple first sector. He continues to form from the first lap, but we'll have to look at the chicane, Nouvelle chicane. That's where the lap went wrong before with the invalidation, and he might just have to play it a little bit safer and just make sure he's got a lap time on the board to be there when it counts for the top 10 shootout in Q3. That's deep, and that's a cross, and that's an invalidation again from Stefano Samson. And the championship leader is not making this easy at all in Monte Carlo. And Stefano Samson will need another lap. He'll need a charge lap, and then he'll need another push lap. He's got time, but, well, this is not what he wanted whatsoever. Van Bergen not on a push lap, as Wagner invalidated on his lap. Not quite sure if he was on a completely competitive lap, so I'm not sure if anyone is actually. Most people seem to be on slow laps at the moment. Maybe this is Adam Dick, who's going to be leading the charge at the end of Q2 through Massenet. Try and not let the bumps unsettle the car, but gets way out of shape. And that's not the best first sector at all. But this, he's just looking to reaffirm his place. He's still in 7th place at the moment, but challenges could come from behind, like Simon Wagner in the Ferrari, and also Samson will be setting a lap time eventually, you'd think, after this cool lap that he's currently on. So into the chicane. Invalidation from the Racing Bulls, which is not ideal, but you'll just have to pray that he'll be fine in the current position. Ratcliffe in the Sauber, putting in a first sector time which is 4/10 off what the Ferrari of Wagner did. Wagner through the swimming pool, locking up a little bit into Raskas, and now Anthony knows we got the Haas ahead of Rambo as Wagner to the line, and Wagner moves only to 10th position. Could be at risk, especially when Sam Sin gets a lap time on the board. Sam Sin is on the way. Not quite sure what his sector times are doing. His time is a bit frozen, but we'll see in a few moments' time. As Ratcliffe, charging for the line, stays in 13th place. What about Stefano Samsin, who keeps it valid on this occasion? Wasn't ideal through the second part of the chicane, as Van Bergen does get a time on the board to go to 7th. That knocks the Ferrari of Wagner out of qualifying. So Ferrari have only got one car through. Can Stefano Samsin save himself at the death? Rambo's invalid, so it's Stefano Samsin or Danny to Q3, and Stefano Samsin is out of qualifying. In the second part, the championship leader has been knocked out here in Monte Carlo. 12th position in Q2. And once again, like we saw in Division 2, the McLaren, who's leading the championship, has been knocked out of qualifying. And it's a big shock here in Monaco. That opens the door for other people. Stefano Samsin will not continue his streak of being in the top 2 in qualifying. And well, Danny does get through in that 10th place. And the top 10 shootout is Trixie, Spencer Speedy, Varkish Mills, Ben Van Bergen, Adam Dick, Alex Norris, and Danny. Yeah, so that is how Q2 ends. We just lost a lot in Sector 2. We saw the chicane was just not ideal, but there's other parts of Sector 2 as well, of course. Time for the top 10 shootout here in Monaco. Right, I think a few names were just kind of bugged as we moved over sessions, so that should be fixed now. And, well, here we go then. Hopefully see drivers push their cars to the absolute limits of performance here in Monaco. There's a chance for quite a few teams to be right up there in the fight, and well, you always want to be higher up. You want to have less chance of being caught in the midfield chaos, especially on the first couple of laps. And this could be a big chance for big points for teams that don't necessarily get that chance often. So Adam Dick will be the first one, and then we have Thomas Varkish behind, who is in the Red Bull, as Alex Mills leaves the session. I think he might have totally kind of disconnected. Can't see him online. So I don't think... No, this is a push lap from Adam Dick. I just wasn't quite sure because it was in the background. Through Massenet and now Casino. These walls can be ruthless. The tyre can just pop off with a slight brush, especially after the Nouvelle chicane, but also there in Casino Square, where Seb Tazeo did have an accident yesterday after being on for a podium finish, which in the end managed to give Nico a comfortable victory when it could have been in doubt. It would look like it was going towards the end, but this is what happens in Monaco. You get track position and you often prevail, and this is why this qualifying is so important as the Racing Bulls into Raskas, Varkish, purple in the middle. Ben is invalid, so he will not be getting a lap time on the board at the start. It's to the line for Adam Dick. It's in the 1 minute 9s, 1 minute 9.4 for Varkish in the Red Bull. As this is Danny, who's done really well in the Alpine to get into the top 10 shootout, along with Alex Norris in the Sauber, who just let him by through Raskas. As Danny, charging for the line, goes into P2, 100th ahead there of Adam Dick, as Speedy flying in the first two sectors in the Mercedes. Mercedes haven't taken a pole position since Daniel Llorente in the Spanish Grand Prix of Season 5, I believe. And it's two provisional pole, but Trixie is going even quicker than Speedy, and that's why the purple first sector was gone from Speedy. And it is now Trixie flicking the car through the chicane, living on the edge, and pushing it through to back, right out to the barriers. It's 2/10 up on Speedy, into the swimming pool, it's up to the barriers, braking for Raskas, hook the car in, runs slightly deep, flicks into Anthony Nogues, lives with a bit of oversteer, charges for the line. Is it in the 1 minute 8? It's a 1 minute 8.7 from Trixie. What about Norris? Norris invalidated, so will not be getting a more competitive time on the board, as Spencer in the McLaren is about a 10.5 down so far on Trixie's benchmark. So Spencer looking to challenge for the front row based on this current pace into the chicane. Doesn't invalidate, manages to cut the chicane though as much as he can. Brushes the barriers into back, purple in the middle sector, and right out to the barriers again for Sasha Spencer. Spencer, who took a surprise pole back in Spain ahead of Stefano Samson after jumping in as McLaren's reserve, and goes on to the front row as it stands. Van Bergen in the Aston Martin, braking for the chicane, has a nice line through there, gets a little bit of oversteer on the exit. Norris going again, I want to say. He might bail into the pits though, so we'll keep watching Van Bergen, who brushes the barriers on the exit. Norris does cut the beam, stays in the same position, does get a better time on the board as Van Bergen up to the line. Van Bergen is the slowest time we've seen so far. What about Ben in the Mercedes to the end of Sector 1 is about 3/10 down, just under 3/10 down on Trixie's benchmark. So Ben not quite there, but pace should still be there to get onto the second row with Speedy as it stands. Through the tunnel with just over 5 minutes to go in Q3, hooks that car in, gets a lovely drive out of the chicane to back. Doesn't quite get out to the outside wall, plays it decently safe, and will keep this going And this could be enough to get 4th. It should be at least enough to get 5th. As Ben to the line. And in the Mercedes, it is 5th place for Ben, who, one of the last times he was in RFC, was causing a lot of chaos in Singapore with Danny. And well, at the moment, they are on the same row of the grid. So let's hope it's not a part 2 of that. As I'm not quite sure what's going on with Alex Mills. We'll see if he's online again. I don't think he is. So I wonder if he's just dropped out or something. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Why do you hope it's part 2? Part 1 ended in both drivers getting a race ban, I want to say. So, this is Varkish, who might be going for a warm-up lap. Will hold stations for the time being. Does burn the ERS down the straight, so this does look like a push lap for Thomas Varkish, who goes right over the inside curbs at Saint-Devote, and now up through Beau Rivage into Massenet, carrying the speed, and then into Casino, try and get as close he can to the apex, flicks the car into Mirabeau, and now the Lowe's hairpin to negotiate. Doesn't really hook it over the pavement through the second Mirabeau, and Portier on the exit has a slight wiggle, but that's okay. And braking for the Nouvelle chicane. Keeps it within the track limits crucially, and now runs down towards Tabac. And it is a purple sector 2. Varkish is right in the hunt here for a potential pole position, but Trixie will look to go quicker. Varkish slightly outside of the provisional pole time, but can he find the time in the last sector as he runs to the line? And it is exactly 1/10 away from Trixie. So he might go again, but Varkish at the moment makes the Red Bull front row lockout. And this is Spencer, who is not pushing on the lap. It's funny, the way they enter a lap when they're on a slow lap is kind of the way they enter a lap in 2026 with the battery. Speedy has actually left the session, so he won't be able to go again. So yeah, I don't have him added, so I can't necessarily invite him, and well, there's not really any time left to try and get someone in. But focus will be on Trixie now, who, I wonder if he is winding up a lap. It looks like he is, with the way he's getting these tyres ready to go for it in Monaco. Trixie currently on provisional pole, but can he go any faster? We're about to find out. Into Saint-Devote. That's a big slide, and already the lap is gone for Trixie. So he might have enough time to go again. He looks like he's got enough fuel. But Trixie will not be going any quicker on this current lap. But he is still on provisional pole, as Adam Dick in the Racing Bulls, getting the exit out of Portier. Ben in the Mercedes, setting a green first sector, braking for the Nouvelle chicane. Not seen anyone rip off their tyres so far there. From what I've seen, we've only had like the one retirement, I think. 4/10 down on Trixie's time. What about Ben? Ben, I think, has bailed off from this lap. 4 seconds down. But Adam Dick, over the line, is on the 3rd row as it stands. What about What about Danny? Danny towards Raskas. Van Bergen pushing on slightly quicker than Danny so far in the first sector. But there goes Danny to the line. It's 6th position. What about Van Bergen in the Aston Martin? Sasha Spencer has gone purple in the middle sector. Sasha Spencer looking to challenge, but invalidates the time crucially. So it won't be setting a better lap. Van Bergen over the line is up into 6th place. So it looks like Trixie might be out on his own at the end of the session. He's not improving in the first sector, but no one else can set a time, so it's just a question of whether Trixie can go any quicker at the end of this session. Through to back, pushing the limits now. Purple in the middle sector, gained back a bit of the time he lost in the first sector. Over the curbs, through Raskas now. And now Anthony knows to negotiate. Trixie, can he go any faster at the end of Q3? It's exactly a 10th quicker than Varkish at the moment. He doesn't go any quicker. He didn't need to. And Trixie takes pole position here in Monte Carlo. In Monaco, the crucial qualifying session of the season. And Red Bull have locked out the front row. So, Trixie takes pole for about the first time since Mexico last season, I think. Roughly. Speedy's been invited, and now we look forward to the race. Alex Norris needs an invite back, so I can satisfy that. So the 2-stop race incoming. Probably be a safety car at some point as well, based on that it's Monaco, and even when it doesn't look likely, safety car normally appears, but formation lap is getting underway. And I will just quickly have a little look and see if I can fix Speedy. Edwards has actually left the session, so we'll deal with him in a moment as well. Speedy's name is done. Anderson is fixed. And we can invite Edward back, and we'll also see the tyres. So, quite a mix of mediums and hards, and then the soft runner of Bradders further back. Don't think I can see Edward on this list, so he's probably like fully kind of disconnected, lost internet or something of that sort. But anyway, the 2 Red Bulls opting for the medium compound, which Not surprised they want a whole track position. Speedy. Maybe thinking of going longer. Sam Sin as well on the softs, which I missed before, but Sam Sin looking to get a quick early start. As well, that is Bradders, who got disqualified from the formation lap, but now we line up here in Monte Carlo for the first ever Monaco Grand Prix in RFC Division 1. Well, Alex Mills is still not here, and doesn't look like he's online. So a few drivers maybe not able to quite get control of their car yet, but the two Red Bulls lining up on the front row. It's very easy to tell them apart because of the liveries. 5 lights on the streets of Monaco. It's lights out, and away we go on the run down towards Saint-Devote. It's a decent start from Trixie, who's maintaining the place. Then comes Thomas Varkish maintaining second place, followed through by Sacha Spencer in the McLaren. Through Massenet, Adam Dick in fourth, moving up places, as followed then by Ben, and there is Stefano Samson diving up the inside, making contact with Danny in the Alpine, down into the hairpin. There's chaos going on down there at the hairpin, and wow, a lot of damage down the field just for that moment at the hairpin, where there seemed to be a huge checkup down there. So, a lot of changing already. Samson trying to make a quick start. He's moved up 3 positions. Bradders as well has got an almighty start on the soft tyres. Can take advantage of the ghosting. And well, now the AI cars at the back that might need to be helped out. But Red Bull with the 1-2 positions so far. And holding firm. Further back the grid, both Williams cars have found their way into the pit lane, and they're both the ones with front wing damage. That is not what you want to see. Both cars, they're going to be waiting for a very long time to get their stop. The second Williams comes in, there's another front wing comes out, the other front wing goes off. Front wings everywhere for Williams. Edward Isham, I think, was appearing offline, but now is appearing online, so can be invited back. Sam Sin on the prowl, chasing down the Sauber of Alex Norris. Norris starting in 9th, Samson, who started in 12th. Having been knocked out, not able to get the ideal lap in Q2. And Red Bull taking away McLaren's 100% pole streak. As Wagner is on the back of Ratcliffe. But difficult to find a way through, but as the race progresses, the tyre differences as well will come into play. And, well, we may as well have a little look at the hairpin on the first lap, where, well, firstly we see Samson down the inside, taps the back of Danny in the Alpine, and then down here at the hairpin, what actually happened? Just a big checkup. You can see Bradders there ghosting through, taking all of those places right at the hairpin and gaining through. That's how Bradders gained all those places. He was right there at that moment. So, ghosting being enabled for the one and only time it will be this season, and, well, it definitely was advantageous to the Aston Martin. Sam Sin's come in. This is going to be an almighty undercut on a lot of those in the top 10, as long as he gets clean air now. As he comes out of the pits. Wagner here getting very close to the back of Ratcliffe. Into Casino Square. But can't quite close in enough to make a move at Mirabeau. And you can see this train. And there's a bit of contact there. Involving, I think the Haas has got the, is that which Haas? One of the Haas's has got the wrong name, but doesn't show P10. P10 XR Speedy apparently. That is not his name was XR Speedy. It's been fixed. His name is not XR Speedy. So, yeah. I think it just carried on like when I overdid Speedy's name before, and it just put it onto Rambo, so his name would show XR Speedy. Well, Bradders comes in as Norris actually getting very close to Danny, shaping for a move to the inside. At Massenet has to back off. And we'll see what Samson's progress looks like. Have to encounter Edward Isham in the next lap or so. But, well, should be able to clear the Racing Bulls with relative ease eventually, maybe down into the chicane at turn 11. Maybe actually set it up through the second Mirabeau. And then Portier will get a good exit and should be able to get the drive to breeze past the Racing Bulls. Maybe has to do it on the brakes though, as Isham actually burns the ERS, holds the place. And Samson can't go for it. You don't really want to go for it on the straight after the chicane because you could end up what happened to Invade, as Bradders is out of the race at the chicane, but there's no safety car. So, first retirement of the Grand Prix. And it's right there at the Nouvelle Chicane, which claims a lot of victims. As there they go wheel to wheel, Isham and Samson. And Samson gets ahead. Apparently, Bradders quit, so I guess he just retired on track, which not ideal. But we move. So basically, you crashed on purpose, or you just... No, wait, you quit. So, I don't really understand. You crashed, and then you just left. So you did crash. As Spencer comes in. Onto the hard compounder tyre. How do we check the standings? Well, they are in the Discord server. Exclamation mark Discord. As there goes Speedy on Adam Lock. And Speedy looking to chase Saban now. There's another yellow flag out there. Gets cleared. The Speedy looks to get the drive. And closes up to the back of the Alpine, pulls to the inside, and gets the move done at the Nouvelle Chicane. So basically, Bradders has rejoined as a driver today, and not even by the end of the day, has decided that is enough of the F125 game. I mean, fair enough. A lot of drivers pissing him now. Adam Dick trying to get an undercut, maybe, on Thomas Varkish. Adam Dick seemed to have a lot of pace there towards the end of that short first stint, to be fair. And he was right up behind Varkish. And now you can see Stefano Samson's undercut, because based on this, when Varkish pits, he'll be behind Stefano Samson. But they're going to encounter a bit of traffic in a few moments' time. So that would be interesting to see how they negotiate it. Obviously, Spencer is down here in this traffic as well. Norris gets very close to the back of Van Bergen. Hard tyres starting to come into play a little bit more. But we'll quickly go back. And Spencer's going to dive to the inside. Doesn't really pull alongside. Locke holds the place. Locke defends well. Places his car in the only place he can really place it here in Monaco, and holds on to the place. But Spencer is closing in, and you can try a dive at Raskas. It's risky though. You can try and get the outside line as well and get the exit slightly. Taps the back of the Haas. A few drivers peel into the pits, and Spencer still trying to get by. Using DRS now as the Haas recharges. He might dive to the inside of turn 1. They go wheel to wheel. They leave the space. They run wheel to wheel up the hill. Adam Dick also gets the move, as then Sam Sin as well overtakes Adam Locke. And it's been a bit of a nightmare couple of corners for Adam Locke, who's now got Ben potentially trying the dive here at Mirabeau. Ben up the inside, and that is another place lost by the Haas on lap number 9. So we've got to keep an eye on the gaps here, because Spencer is going to be right up there along with all of this train compared to Varkish. You can see it's about an 18.5-second pit stop, so bear that in mind. But Red Bull might lose track position here with this first stop. Obviously 2-stop race, a chance to get back. Van Bergen's into the box now from the medium compound tyres. Wagner into the box as well from the mediums. As Speedy here, who obviously disconnected, dropped all the way to the back, but back in the session now on the hard tyres, and is a few seconds ahead now of this train, which is currently led by Sasha Spencer. But Adam Dick here in the Racing Bulls is absolutely flying at the moment, and is putting pressure on the McLaren. McLaren, who've won every race so far this season, and well, Adam Dick in the Racing Bulls is pressuring them, and he's also pressuring the main Red Bull team as well with this strategy, trying to undercut Thomas Varkish, and that they have done. Trixie will be undercut pretty soon, has been undercut if you look at the gap to leader. So, but there is still a chance of a safety car, and then, well, here goes Trixie into the pits. It's going to be close here. We might see Trixie and Sam Sin getting very close at the pit exit, and Ben as well. Trixie might be behind this whole train. Where will he come out? As Trixie could finish second in the championship last season, out of the pit lane. He took pole. There goes Adam Dick past. There's Stefano Samson. They're going to be side by side on the pit exit. Samson gets the run. Samson powers past the pole sitter, but Trixie comes back. They ghost, and they're still wheel to wheel through Massenet into Casino, and Trixie fights back past Stefano Samson, and now Ben looks to go round the outside, almost gets pushed to the barriers, and there's more contact down at the Lowe's hairpin as Ben makes his way past. A bit of argy-bargy. Stefano Samson almost ends up in the barriers. Well, Stefano Samson thought he was ahead of Trixie, but suddenly he's now been overtaken by Trixie and Ben. But Trixie is now in this traffic, and he is behind Adam Dick in the Racing Bulls. This was the moment they came out the pits side by side. You can see Samson's ahead, gets a touch of lag, ghosts, and Trixie takes full advantage. Stefano Samson almost goes sideways there. And then you can see Ben absolutely sending it round the outside, makes the move, then eventually at the Lowe's hairpin. You can see the contact there just as it stopped. But yeah, that was that replay. That was that moment in this Grand Prix, as now Speedy is right with the leading cars. Thomas Varkish has gone into the pits and is now 4.6 seconds behind Ben, having taken his first stop. Oh, with track position being so key here, I wonder if they can fight through and get back to where they started. I forgot the name of the hotel. What, the Fairmont Hotel at the hairpin. As, well, Speedy's still holding them up. And Sasha Spencer will have to look for a gap, but I mean, Speedy's not really wanting to budge. There's no reason for him to, but there's no reason for him to cost himself time as well. So Speedy, a little bit of contact there with Sasha Spencer through Sainte Devote as they run up through Beau Rivage, and Spencer's looking for a gap on the inside into Massenet and makes the move. Goes a bit sideways, gets past Speedy. What about Adam Dick in the Racing Bulls, looking to shape to the inside towards Mirabeau, down to the Lowe's hairpin, and there might be a bit of contact there. You can see how close Trixie's getting to the back of the Racing Bulls as they now go through Portier, and, well, can the Racing Bulls make the move on the Mercedes? Closes up. Doesn't want to run into the back of the Mercedes. Through to back. They run. Spencer's able to build up a bit of a gap now, since he's got ahead, but Speedy's actually got pretty good pace at this point. He's not dropping too far back from Spencer, and he will still get DRS to try and defend. And Trixie now might be the one actually closest to making a move. Ben's close behind Trixie, but Trixie looks to set one up. Almost a bit of contact, and now we go up the hill towards Massenet, and no change of position on this occasion. But the Racing Bulls is close to the Mercedes. Trixie's close behind to take advantage of any mishap. As to the hairpin we go again. Over the curb on the inside goes the Racing Bulls. Sam Sin has been in for another stop in the last couple of laps, and he just pumped in the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So he's already got his 2 stops out, and down the inside, making contact, goes Adam Dick, as Speedy then gets a 10-second time penalty for going across the corner. So not quite sure that was too much fair, because the Racing Bulls came from a long way back, sent one, and that's allowed Trixie through, as there might have been a bit of contact there. As now round the outside, Ben is having to go at Varkish, and Ben up into 4th, ahead of Varkish and ahead of Speedy, but Varkish is trying to get back and closes up through Sainte Devote, and this is not over yet as they run through Beau Rivage towards Massenet, and the Red Bull is right there, almost pushing the Mercedes through Casino Square, down towards Mirabeau, sets up the outside line, into the hairpin now. Varkish seems to have the pace to try and challenge back at the Mercedes, but Ben has now got track position. He has got a 3-second time penalty, but that won't be stopping him from holding up the Red Bull. And well, yeah, Adam Dick was having such a promising time out there. He really was. And then if I can get the replay going, he just sent one to the inside. Wasn't alongside enough. Sent one here in the slow motion replay. You can see He goes to the inside. He's nowhere near the tyre of the Mercedes and just fully punts into him. But now we go back to racing and Speedy has gone into the pit. So that's unleashed the Racing Bulls now. And we'll see where Speedy comes out. Because he'll still have another stop to go after this one. Sam Sin now in a bit of a train with Danny pressuring Wagner in the Ferrari. Wagner, who's a bit stuck behind XR Rambo as well. Rambo, who's on medium tyres of 6 laps. Wagner on hard tyres of 6 laps. So Wagner's tyres will be better at this stage. But he's still got enough pace to hold up. The car's behind. And Varkish is still closing in, as there is Alex Mills, who has disconnected. His blue flag car is ghosted. Alex Norris has been leading for quite a while now, after all the pit stops, gets a 3-second time penalty. Must have been through the swimming pool, because then he goes into the pits. And now Sasha Spencer takes the lead of the Grand Prix, but Trixie's closing in. Trixie has got the chance to fight back to his position from qualifying, and he is right there with Sasha Spencer. Spencer seemingly struggling a bit more with those older tyres, and Trixie is right there as Varkish trying to pressure Ben still through the Lowe's hairpin. Slight bit of a tap from Trixie on the McLaren. We have a yellow flag out there. Might be XR Rambo, actually. No, he's come out the pits. Might be Edward Isham, maybe, who's got a bit of front wing damage. But yeah, I think it was Edward Isham, as he can't quite make a move. Varkish goes over the curb in the background, gets a lot of closing speed on the Mercedes of Ben through the swimming pool chicane now, and can't go for it at Raskas. Might be able to set something up though, as the two race leaders are very close. Trixie gets a bit out of shape there, not entirely sure how that originated, as Trixie now gets to run up the hill and through Beau Rivage. Can't close up enough, but tries to set up a move and is hoping for a mistake from the McLaren. He really closes in this section. Varkish almost pushing Ben around the corner, trying to go all the way around the outside of Mirabeau. Bit of a love tap. Ghosts the Mercedes, and Varkish might try and take advantage here, which is maybe not quite right. Backs off though eventually, because he really caused that ghosting, but he's still going to maybe have a go. He's too far behind. He makes the Mercedes go in deep. He tries to get a good exit, but it's so difficult to make a move there. And we saw with Invade and HQR, whoever they are, the Williams driver, I apologise, when they made contact there. And well, the Williams just put the car in a place that was always going to close, was never really open, and that caused the DNF for Invade. So through Sandervot again, and Trixie still following behind. He's still having to wait patiently. Varkish though seems to be deploying a bit more of an aggressive approach to trying to overtake, but on this occasion doesn't look for anything, going in to Casino Square and then through the hairpin. As first and second in the race go through the tunnel again, and Trixie is just 0.3 of a second behind. But on the exit again, it's frustration. Sam Sin still stuck there in that train, which he pitted into. And Danny still behind Wagner, who is behind Ratcliffe in the Kick Sauber. who's got a bit of track position at the moment. So here we go though, back down towards Sander Vot. Trixie unable to make anything on the entry or the exit. He's getting close though. You can sometimes find a bit of a gap on the inside here if you're closer. Gap just opens up, but again, it's difficult to follow. And as the tyres get worse for Trixie, it's not going to be so easy, even though Spencer has got older tyres. Samson is now got Alex Norris pressuring him in the Sauber, the championship leader. Under pressure from Alex Norris, who is on quite fresh medium tyres. He was obviously leading the race before. You can see this train, who is the train being led by Norris's teammate, Ratcliffe. And you can see everyone just getting frustrated at the moment. Ratcliffe placing the car and everyone else unable to get the move on, but Wagner quite close on this occasion. He might try and go to the outside. There goes Samson down the inside, locking up. Danny takes avoiding action, goes over the curb. Samson comes out ahead. Norris then takes the place ahead of Danny. And Samson going for an aggressive overtake down there at the Nouvelle Chicane. And Norris almost hits the back of Samson into Raskas. We quickly just check on the race leaders and see what's going on. No moves able to be made. And Norris still closing in to the back of the McLaren. Night Owl has retired from the race. I believe that's at the Nouvelle Chicane as well. So that claims a victim as down the inside goes Samson on Wagner. Simon Wagner in the Ferrari under pressure. Round the outside. It gets tight. It's close. It's another place for the McLaren. Norris might try and slip down the inside. Can't quite find it. But on the exit now of Portier, maybe Norris can have a look. Ferrari power against Ferrari power, but it's the Kick Sauber roaring by to take 9th place, but then gets slightly spun, but manages to hold on. Wagner making a bit of contact, and Danny taking the place ahead of Wagner. The move looked to be done from the Sauber, but it seemed like Wagner cut across the chicane slightly, tapped the back of the Sauber, but Norris managed to hold on. As we run through the first sector again, and it's still the top 4 remaining in position, but Norris here getting the run, goes wheel to wheel with Stefano Samson, gets boxed in by Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe spins, and then Norris loses it, and Samson gets the place. Sauber trying the teamwork, but it didn't really work out as Danny looks up the inside, has a bit of a spin. Luckily the barriers are there just to kind of catch him. Adam Locke is out. That's down there in the same place again. And there's not a retirement again for the same accident. But there's chaos going on as Ratcliffe managed to save it as well after having that bit of a spin. This is now Speedy making a move down at the Nouvelle Chicane, able to be confident on the brakes and get the move. So, well, once again, this was, this is it. There you can see. So that's Conor Ratcliffe ahead. You see Norris pulling to go round the outside here. Samson gets boxed in. Then Ratcliffe spins. And then Norris also loses the car. And Samson takes the place. So Sauber looked to be doing good teamwork, but yeah, I'm not really sure what entirely happened. I have to see that again, to be honest, because the replay seemed to speed up and slow down when I was trying to see what was happening. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone has got a better look at that than me, probably, just because I'm trying to look at so much right now. But Spencer still leads the way. We'll have a little look at the number of pit stops for the first time today, because Stefano Samson has done both of his pit stops, but he's on 11 lap old hard tyres, so he might be going for the 3 stop, as James said before, or I don't know, Can he risk it all the way to the end? Probably not, because if he's on 11 lap all tyres now, then he can't go into like the high 20s on the number of laps and still be okay. But that was just a thought in my mind that, you know, he might just try and get track position, but he's going to try and catch the train ahead and probably try and undercut again is probably the goal, and try and really get into this race. But Spencer still holding on. Varkish has cleared Ben at some point. I can't lie, I don't even know when that happened, but there goes Edward Isham, I think, ghosting through. As well, Spencer still leads from Trixie, and Trixie is putting the pressure on, burning the ERS, but Spencer seems to just be quick enough in the critical corners to have a decent gap. He charges up the batteries, and Trixie can't really find a way through. So, and now with obviously Edward Isham getting involved, there's going to be dirty air kicked off from the lap card. Varkish might be applying pressure on his teammate, but surely they can try and muster up something here as Spencer actually goes into the pits. He blinks first to try and maintain track position. Ben is also in the Mercedes, looking to try and get an undercut, and boxing in now along with Adam Dick in the Racing Bulls. So the two Red Bulls lead us away, but McLaren have the track position advantage. Unless there's a safety car, Spencer will be leading the race. He gets very close to the line on pit exit, but Danny can't get by. Ben actually pits right into where Danny is, but they do swap around, and it's not a repeat of Singapore, and there's nothing too much going on. But Adam Dick is behind Rambo, and will Rambo be so kind to let the Racing Bulls go? Probably not. So they will race away, and Adam Dick will probably find a move at the chicane, unless he does the same thing that happened with Speedy. Surely he's learned his lesson on this occasion, and he should be able to get close enough to make a move. He's still going to dive one to the inside, is more alongside this time, but again there's a bit of contact. Adam Dick's got a bit of a damage from wing, don't know when that happened. Rambo has to cut across the chicane, and Rambo gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. As the two Red Bulls stay out, they know they've lost track position, but maybe they might be able to gain it back. If Speedy here in the Mercedes holds up Spencer, there might be an overcut attempt possible for Trixie, because it depends how long this happens. But Spencer here, he's going to have to get by on Speedy. He goes down the inside, and he does make the move, which was so crucial, because any holding up could have allowed Red Bull to get the overcut. But now it will be McLaren with that track position, and Red Bull having to fight it back on the track, unless there's a time penalty for anyone, unless there's a safety car as well, which could bail them out. But McLaren have gone for the track position strategy with Spencer since the start of this, and Spencer was able to hold on against Trixie, even though Trixie had much better tyres in that second stint, and now in the third stint. We'll see what happens. There's a yellow flag out there. I believe Wagner's had something at the chicane again. The chicane, not an ideal place for any driver. It seems to be the place that most drivers make the mistakes. Samson obviously in qualifying, as Spencer now catches Norris. This could still be a bottleneck, but Norris knows this isn't his race, and Spencer goes on by, and that's smart because Norris knows, yeah, he knows he needs to stop again at some point, so he knows the race time is crucial. Wagner's retired. That's in the pit lane as Speedy comes out in P12. He's got the fastest lap of the race at the moment, and we'll see where he can fight back to by the end as well. Looking at the number of pit stops as well, the two McLarens are going to be close soon, but Samson should wave by Spencer, and they should be able to go on through. and race on, but so far Samson's staying ahead until at least the main straight. And Trixie, having pitted, trying to recover against Spencer. He's obviously lost track position to Ben as well. There's the two McLarens. Race on. And they're going to be wheel to wheel. And almost making contact in Saint Devot. There's not team orders there. It doesn't seem like. And Spencer, the reserve, overtakes Samson. They were teammates obviously in Spain when Spencer took pole. Samson took victory though, after having the right tyres, having the medium compound when a late-ish safety car, and he was able to break away. Ben now is coming up against Stefano Samson. And Ben is going to go side by side into the chicane, cuts across. That must be an illegal overtake, you'd have to think, when he jumped across the chicane there, but nothing doing, and he's taken the place. So Spencer cleared Van Bergen as well, but I want to see that again at the chicane there, and just exactly see what happened. Speedy has cleared Ratcliffe. Norris will be doing the same. Spencer takes the lead. But, so, we're watching Ben follow Stefano Samson. As there, actually, I think, in the live pictures, round the outside goes Trixie on Stefano Samson, but yeah, I believe he just cut across and probably shouldn't have got that position. Well, because even though, I mean, you can't really give much more space to cars trying to go round the outside there. But anyway, Steward Charlotte agreeing with my verdict, but Ben has got 6 seconds of time penalties. He's going to be a bit of a bottleneck here for Trixie, who should have better pace. But Ben, we know he likes to get the elbows out. No, well, if that gets reported to the FIA, he'll probably get a penalty, because, yeah, he did cut across. But Trixie up the hill, following Ben. Ben almost within DRS range of Spencer. No, well, he only made the overtake before the corner like that because he braked so late he had to go off the track, basically. Like, there's always like, yeah, you have to kind of go back the story and see exactly what happened. But the car on the inside was definitely getting ahead there. How about we see this again quickly before the leaders start battling. So, goes to the outside. There's not any more space that Stefano Samson can give there, really. Like, he gives as much space as he can. But Trixie following Ben here. Ben following Sasha Spencer. And it's all getting very close as Varkish is looking to get past Stefano Samson. There's contact there between the pair of them, and Samson goes back through on the inside. So maybe the place was given back there. Felt like, to be honest. But anyhow, they will be battling again. What about Trixie? Right up behind. He can't make a move. Varkish now going back again on the inside line. And makes the move. despite a bit of contact there between the pair of them. Samson again being involved there, and Trixie now looking to fight through on Ben. So Ben, though, might be thinking of a move on Sasha Spencer. I don't know if... I think Sasha Spencer, he got 97% ERS here, so he's just managing things, and he's just kind of playing with it at the moment, and then he can really push towards the end of the race if he needs a gap, but he doesn't really need to. He's got track position, and Trixie is going to be frustrated at the moment. Yeah, but that was different on that time because they were on the opposite sides. Like Stefano was on the outside into the chicane. On the other time he was on the inside. So Adam Dick will be making a move eventually on Stefano Samson if he can make a clean move for once. But yeah, we see the top three very close on the circuit. No, well, Varkish was attacking and Stefano was defending. So it's a bit different, like the way that they did it. But anyway, Trixie with a 3-second time penalty. So this is not going to be ideal because Sasha Spencer hasn't got a time penalty. So Trixie fighting for second. He will get second at the moment. And Ben holding on to that position on the racetrack. Trixie looming in the wing mirrors, but still not quite close enough towards the chicane. And Stefano Samson is over 80% tyre wear at the moment, so I'm not sure if he's trying to get this to the end from here or the ideal plan, but there's going to be a puncture risk pretty soon as Adam Dick is out of the race. In the middle of the racetrack, virtual safety car deployed. Not a full course safety car, but well, on the feed there, we see a big accident, and it's at the chicane again. So here we go. Watching Stefano Samson, Adam Dick there, just catches the barrier. And there goes the tyre. And VSC now ending. Stefano Samson, that was the perfect opportunity for him to get in and stay inside the points and be able to try and fight maybe a few positions up if he can gain a lot towards the end of the race with the much fresher tyres. I mean, he's 5.7 seconds. That's not too bad to try and catch in the McLaren. But Trixie on the VSC restart, trying to apply the pressure. Ben closing up a little bit to Sasha Spencer. And Spencer, though, still managing the ERS quite well. He's got 75% at the moment, compared to 59 and 47 for Ben and Trixie, respectively. Danny is quite close to Connor Ratcliffe, but we go back to the leading battles where, well, Trixie, this is as close as he's been in a few laps, but this is as close as Ben has been to Sasha Spencer as well. Through Beaurivage into Massenet, and Trixie still frustrated behind. McLaren looking set to extend their win streak at the start of this season. But it could all still change. Sasha Spencer, though, keeping it within track limits, hasn't got a track limit penalty, and that could be critical because even if he makes a slight mistake, he could still win this race even without the position on the circuit. Trixie getting a bit closer to Ben. Ben seemingly struggling a little bit. Sasha Spencer able to break away by a few tenths, but then into the chicane, you can see Spencer just has to play it calm. He knows he can't exceed the track limits there. And Ben, well, I mean, he might have some warnings in hand, technically, before he gets his next 3 second. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, with him pushing the limits, he could easily end up with another 3 second by the end of the race. Varkish as well closing in. Sam Sin closing in on Alex Norris. Norris as well, trying to maybe muster a move on the car ahead, but I think Van Bergen's got this. As long as he doesn't make a mistake. Through Casino Square on lap 36 or 39. And it is still Sasha Spencer who leads the Monaco Grand Prix. As Stefano Samsin pumps in a quickest lap of the race on his charge to overtake Alex Norris. Edward Isham is out of the race. That's at the chicane again. And is a virtual safety car. He's going to have to be careful here. And lucky that there's no sim damage or anything, because if you run over debris, you can pick up a puncture, but no issues. I mean, he didn't want to cut the chicane because he'd probably get a penalty. Saban there. Oh, that's the pit thing. I think he's gone into the pits and he's picked up a drive-through. That's unfortunate for him. And well, it's a double DNF for Racing Bulls. And well, it's going to be a DSQ and a DNF for Ferrari, so... Ferrari, who had the double podium. Spencer has got a drive-through for exceeding the Delta. And Sasha Spencer has now lost places to Ben and Trixie. But Sasha Spencer's race has totally been destroyed. He's not followed the Delta under the VSC. And now, McLaren's win streak looks set to be ending here in Monte Carlo. Because he's going to have to go into the pits and serve. He's going to lose so many places. Stefano Samsin overtakes Alex Norris. Trixie is now set to win this race as long as he can keep it within the white lines. Trixie, who's won twice before in RFC, in Monza, and also in Mexico City. As there goes Varkish on Sasha Spencer. So, Ben away and set to cross the line first. He could still be under investigation, obviously, for that move at the chicane. He's got more time penalties anyway. Trixie doesn't want to take any risks. Stefano Samsin makes a move on Van Bergen at the Nouvelle chicane. Trixie doesn't want to take any risks. Spencer serves the drive-through now. That's going to drop him down to 8th place in this Grand Prix, roughly, I think. Due to, I mean, it's going to be quite close, but I think that's where he'll round off. As we'll see him exit. It's actually going to be very close. Speedy there goes by. It's going to be side by side with Van Bergen, is it? Wheel to wheel. Up Beau Rivage, Van Bergen muscles past Sasha Spencer. So it was very close indeed. So Spencer now behind Stefano Samsin in the inter-team battle at McLaren in this Grand Prix. And well, we're on lap 38 now of 39, penultimate lap, but still positions to be won here. Speedy doing an almighty job to try and defend against Stefano Samsin, but the defense might be broken now down to the Nouvelle chicane because Stefano Samsin has got fresher tyres. He's going to have confidence on the brakes. Goes around the outside. Makes contact there. Slightly cuts over the chicane. And goes past the Mercedes. Very close down there. When it comes to overtaking, not really the space for two cars to go side by side. Someone normally has to back out. Otherwise someone cuts the chicane. And well, very close again. We're on the final lap of the Monaco Grand Prix though, with the race leaders and now this train that we're currently watching. But there still could be moves on as Danny picks up a 3 seconds, but Spencer will be looking to get the drive and try and overtake Van Bergen here, wheel to wheel. There you go. You can see the slight wheel lock in the wing mirror but the place is won by Sasha Spencer. So, Ben leading into the Nouvelle Chicane on the final lap of the Monaco Grand Prix. Mercedes haven't won for 44 races in RFC Division 1. That run seems to be continuing here in Monte Carlo as Trixie has less time penalties. And here we go with Ben as he's going to cross the line first in the Principality, but Trixie second, and Trixie on the time penalties wins the Monaco Grand Prix. And it is a Red Bull 1-2 finish with Thomas Varkish rounding off the job. Red Bull back to where they were last season. And it is a 1-2 finish. It ends McLaren's win streak to start the season. We finally have a different team winning, but that is very close between Spencer and Speedy as well towards the end. Ben rounds off the podium. Sam Sin comes back from 12th on the grid to 4th. Speedy in 5th. Spencer 6th. After that costly VSC where he exceeded the Delta. And that cost him race victory here in Monte Carlo. Van Bergen in the 7th. Double Sauber points, 8th and 9th. Rambo rounding off the points in 10th. And well, there we go in Monaco with Trixie claiming victory. Well, for a lot of that race, it seemed like McLaren's track position strategy had paid off. And I mean, it would have paid off, but for that VSC yesterday, when William Salu sped into the pits, when it looked like he could challenge for victory. And well, today it's another infringement that costs them. And it's not been McLaren's week in terms of winning. We'll look through the race director really quick. But there we are. That's Monaco. Done. And will it return in the future? I'm not sure, but that was certainly fun. And I've enjoyed these few days, having done every stream. I've enjoyed it. Well, I think that's going to be the end then. I don't think there's interviews or anything, so I'm very happy to just end it there. We're in Austria next time out for the Austrian Grand Prix. There's no sprint there, unlike in the past. The first sprint is in Silverstone after the season break. It's the last race before the season break, next time out in Austria. So we'll see you then. And that's been Monaco.